This is Wells Math, and I'm going to show you how to add when you're using mixed numbers. So let me say this. When I teach my students how to do this skill, I show them how to do it two different ways. So this is going to be part one. If you want to see the other way that I teach kids how to do this skill, then watch my part two video on my YouTube channel. But let's get started with this one. The first thing we do, we've got 1 2/3 plus 2 1/5. First thing you're going to need to do is find a common denominator. We want both of our bottom numbers of our fraction to be the same number. So we're looking at the 3 and we're looking at the 5. And what we're saying is, what is the smallest number that both of these 3 and 5 will divide into evenly? Well, when I'm looking at this, the number that pops into my head is 15. And you can always find a common denominator with your two fractions if you just multiply the denominators against each other. 3 times 5 is 15. Now that's not always the best way to do it, because you would rather have the smallest number that both of them would divide into. But for this problem, 15 would be your best option. I'm going to go ahead and bring down my whole numbers. But now we got to figure out what our numerators in our two new fractions are. We can't just bring the 2 down and bring the 1 down. That's not how it works, okay? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to ask yourself, what did I do? What did I multiply this 3 by to equal 15? Well, that was 3 times 5. So I'm going to write that small here. If you multiply the bottom number, the denominator, times 5, you have to do the same exact thing to the top. So we're going to multiply that numerator times 5 as well, and 2 times 5 is 10. 2/3 is equal to 10/15. They're equivalent fractions. Now let's look at our 5 over here. And what did we multiply the 5 by to equal 15? Well, we did 5 times 3. So now we're just going to do the same thing to the top number in our fraction, the numerator. And 1 times 3 is 3. So 1/5 is equivalent. It is equal to 3/15. Okay? So that's your first step. Get that common denominator. Once you do that, from here, it's pretty basic. You're going to add your whole numbers. Well, that's the number 1 plus 2. Well, that equals 3. Then you're going to add your numerators. 10 plus 3 is 13. And then you will keep your denominators the same, 15. There you go. There's your answer, 3 13/15. Now I want to show you one more example of a problem like this where you're going to have one more step you're going to have to take care of. So let's look at that one. If I were you, I'd be writing these problems down with us. Pause the video if you need to. So we've got 3.5 plus 2 3/4. First step, anytime you're adding or subtracting with fractions, typically is to get that common denominator. I'm looking at the 2, I'm looking at the 4. I see a really good relationship between those two numbers. I think 4 would be a great common denominator to use. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. And the reason is because 2 times 2 equals 4. I'm going to go ahead and write my denominators. Now with my second mixed number, I'm not going to change anything. It already had a 4 for that common denominator. So that mixed number is going to stay exactly like it is, 2 3/4. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring my whole number 3 down right here. Now we need to figure out what our numerator in our first mixed number is going to be. Remember, up here we multiplied times 2 to get the 4. You're going to do the exact same thing on top. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so basically these two problems are the same exact problem, except they just have different numbers for the fractions. Okay. Once we get to this point, add the whole numbers. 3 plus 2 is 5. We're going to add the numerators. 2 plus 3, well, that's also 5. And then we will keep the denominator the same. That is really important. You are not going to add those denominators. And when you get this answer, look at it very closely. We get 5 and 5/4. Okay, so here's the issue. 5/4 is an improper fraction. The top number is bigger than the bottom number. Your teacher is probably not going to accept that final answer. So what we need to do, we need to change our improper fraction into a mixed number, because 5/4 is greater than 1 whole. Takes 4 pieces to make the whole. We have 5 pieces. So it's going to be equal to more than 1. But every fraction is a division problem. 5/4 really means 5 divided by 4. Your first number in your division problem goes in the house, and your second number or your bottom number will go outside. So we're just going to ask ourselves, how many times will 4, how many groups of 4 will go into 5? Well, just one group of 4. But that doesn't get us all the way to 5, because 1 times 4 is only 4. That's going to leave us with a remainder of 1. But we're not going to say 1 remainder 1 for our answer. Your remainder from now on, pretty much in all your math classes, is going to come up and become your numerator in your fraction. And your denominator, which is also that divisor, will stay the same. 5/4 by itself is equal to 1 1/4. Okay, but we're still not quite done. We're almost there. We've still got our whole number 5 here, and then we have 1 1/4. So we just need to add those two up. If you have 5 candy bars in one hand and then 1 1/4 of a candy bar in the other hand, how much do you have? Well, 5 plus 1 is 6. Then you still have that 1/4 of the candy bar as well. There you go. So in the first problem we did not run into this issue. We did not have an improper fraction in our answer. So it was a little bit easier. With this problem, we did have to change that improper fraction into a mixed number and then add that back to our whole number. I hope this has been helpful. If you want to see another way to do this problem, go check out part 2. And I've got lots more videos on my YouTube channel. Go check that out at Wells Math. Have a great day.